This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down, Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I can't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, Cubs and Cardinals fans. It's Thursday, November 11th. Happy Veterans Day to all out there who have served and are serving. And this is the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcasts and blog content. You can follow us at teamofrivalspodcast.com, on Instagram and Facebook at Team of Rivals Podcast, on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod. And for those of you watching us live, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to ring that bell on YouTube so you receive notifications anytime new content is posted. Good evening. Joining me, we only have one more to introduce tonight. Pete ducked out at the last minute, said he couldn't make it. No explanation. We didn't ask. I'm not sure we're owed one. I think I am. I'm not sure about the permanent occasional guest host that is going to be joining me this week. That would be Elliott Dewey. Elliott, we do have a few things to cover in baseball, but I think it's going to be a little bit light. Couple surprises, a couple funny things that we'll probably mention or get into, but other than that, a little light on the baseball content, and I'm okay with that right now.
Yeah. Oh, and happy Veterans Day to you as well.
Thank you.
You are a veteran.
Thank you. And to all my buddies that, sometimes we get put on those big group chats or group texts, and sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you look down at your phone and you've got 18 unread messages. And some of the guys I served with, one of them frequently puts links out on there, and I'm like, man, I am not clicking anything. Because I don't trust him. I don't trust that what I click is not going to be some lewd and obnoxious, crude picture that I don't want to look at. So I tend to avoid it.
Wiener.
Yep, that's about right. So I tend to avoid any links that those guys send. But a couple funny things to mention. We were pinging each other, I know, back and forth this week with Mike Schilt being nominated, one of the finalists for Manager of the Year. And I would piss myself in laughter if he walks away with that. I don't. First of all, I don't think he's going to get it. I think that's going to go to Kapler. But what's your opinion?
I don't know. I mean, he ended that season on a pretty good note with the 17-game winning streak, getting the Cardinals into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was a one and done sort of thing, but it would just be the icing on top of the cake for me, that's for sure.
Wouldn't it? I mean, yeah. It really would me too.
The guy who gets fired wins Manager of the Year just because he had a difference of view from ownership.
Well, I think the fact that he is a finalist, pretty much, nothing's a sure bet, but I would guess that he's going to get some heavy consideration from any club that has a vacancy, and if not. Not just a managerial vacancy, at least a job within the organization. I would think that there are others that do see value, potential value in his services. It's just, those things are voted on before the playoffs. So whatever Mike Schilt did or didn't do right by, pure opinion didn't matter in the playoffs. That voting was already turned in. So I think what got him there, right? What got him there? If you look at the injuries and things that really hit the pitching staff more than anything else,
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to get them into that second wild card position, yes. And I'm sure the 17-game win streak did help. But, well, whatever.
And he had a lot of first-year Gold Glovers, too, this year.
I mean, 5 of them. It's been his emphasis. It was to clean up the defense, get back to fundamentals, and run the bases really well. And those are two, facets of their game that have vastly improved since he took the reins. So that's been his focus, and it really had. Now, look, let's be honest here. When you acquire a Paul Goldschmidt and then you acquire a Nolan Arenado, both had won multiple Gold Gloves in their past. Arenado, I don't think he's not won one for like the last 8 years, but when you get better defenders out there, that's going to help your defensive metrics. It's going to help your numbers. So I don't know how much of the emphasis or coaching Mike Schilt had what his word has on an effort put out by Nolan Arenado is probably not very much.
Right.
But you got to give the front, if that was his focus, it certainly was the front office too, by getting them the people that they needed to fix that defense. So the surprising one to me was, Cardinals fans were up in arms last year of letting Colton Wong walk, and he went to a division rival, and oh my gosh, we just let our Gold Glove second baseman walk. Well, guess who? Guess what you got this year? You got a Gold Glove second baseman in Tommy Edman. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Tyler O'Neill wasn't. I think once he's a good defender, and you take the bat over the glove out in a corner outfield spot, but he's a good defender. It's his second year. That's not a fluke. And then Harrison Bader finally got one. I figured he would get one at some point in time. That's where he excels on his defense. So 5 Gold Gloves is a lot. I didn't figure Yachty would get it, but I guess I didn't see enough of this guy from Pittsburgh that ended up winning it. So
I didn't either. Yeah. I was super surprised. I figured it might be somebody else, maybe even one of the West Coast guys, because it seemed like between Buster Posey and the Dodgers catcher, those guys had a really good year. So I was a bit surprised that I don't even know the guy's name. I mean,
I know, man. And I said the guy from Pittsburgh.
He was on a shitty
Here I am.
team,
I was hoping you would know it, and I don't remember what his name was. I just know it was the Pirates starter for the most of the year.
Jason.
So something.
Something.
The only name I know on the Pirates these days is like that. Who was it? Craig Smith, the first baseman who tried to get Baez in a rundown between home plate and first base.
Oh my God! I watched that play again the other day.
Or Will Craig. Will Craig was his name.
Craig.
Yeah.
Step on the base, man. Just step on the base.
Just back up. You could have moonwalked to that base. Now it'd been hard with cleats on, but he could have done that, and it would have been a better outcome.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a few things to discuss in the world of baseball. The Mike Schilt being nominated in the Gold. Here's how I feel about Gold Gloves, man, and MVP awards and Rookie of the Year, and I honestly don't care too much. Yeah, I like to see my own team win some of those, but at the end of the day, it's what did they do? What did they do in the season? What was their record? How far did they get in the playoffs? That's what I care about the most. These awards at the end of the year, and they matter even less to me when my team was done and out of it. So I don't put much. Man, I don't get bent one way or the other over who does or who doesn't get. No, I don't. And it's just I'm kind of in the same way with the Hall of Fame. And if I tell you what, man, if I have to read one more goddamn Twitter poll about who's on your Cardinals Mount Rushmore, I'm going to lose it, dude.
Are they doing that again? I thought this was.
It happens, man.
I thought they did it like for 6 weeks last year.
See, I gave them a pass in 2020, and I even think I did a podcast once where who were your favorite. I think it was favorite Cardinals teams, which is a much better conversation than who's on your Mount Rushmore. I'm so sick of that shit. Like, okay, I'll do it once, and then I don't ever want to revisit it. It's like the Last Jedi movie. Like I've seen it once, and I'm don't really care to pull it back up. So I'm tired of that kind of pull. And we're already, look, we're already talking. Is Matt Carpenter going to be a Cardinals Hall of Famer?
No.
I don't care if he is or isn't. The guy just said his goodbye. He's still going to try to play in 2022. Honestly, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Let's ask in a few years after he's done playing, and let's talk about it then. His 11 seasons were pretty good, right? It didn't end with a flourish. It ended with a.
He was an average player that got streaky sometimes.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He wasn't.
I wouldn't put him in the category of great at all.
Yeah. He wasn't even the best guy on your team any of the years that he was on the team.
No, it seemed like he was in 2018. He did go on that unbelievable hot streak in the middle of the year. So you'd argue that he was, at least for one campaign. But it was an unsuccessful campaign. They didn't make it. fired their manager halfway through. So it is what it is. But, the big thing looming here is, well, first of all, our favorite, to accompany usually our favorite time of the year, whether it's GM meetings or the baseball winter meetings that take place in December, Scott Boras does his typical media scrum. And, for as much shit as everybody gives this guy, as much shit as I've given him over the years, it's really hard to say he's wrong about anything that he just said in the most recent GM meetings in
if
California.
You can understand what he's saying.
Yeah, you do have to do a little bit of translation, and if you're younger, you're not going to get some of the references he pulls out. But his I think the big theme of his message was, the system is rewarding teams for not doing well.
Right.
And look, it's hard to sift sometimes between, there are some organizations that maybe are trying, they can't figure it out, can't get it right. Maybe they don't have the right strategy, right front office. It's not for lack of effort. It's just they suck. You have others that are, in the whole issue with tanking. I'd like to see it go away in baseball too. And I'm sure as fans, for the sport in general, if you think about it in a broad sense and not just, you as a Cubs fan thinking about how the Cubs did things and or as an Astros, how the Astros did things or how the Yankees do things or Dodgers, whatever it is. I think if you look at baseball in general, like that is something that's gotta, I don't necessarily think you come out and punish a team for losing. I don't know how you do that and expect them to get any better, but
right.
I do agree though that they need to fix that part of it. Like if that's, and he doesn't blame the teams, he blames the system, and I absolutely 100% agree with him. And maybe that wasn't the way it was intended, but these guys are smart in front offices, and if that's the easiest path, that's the quickest path to get your team back on track, to get you back in contention or back into competing for a World Series, you'd do it too. We all would. Yeah, right.
I mean, look at all these teams. That Astros did it before they won. Cubs did it before they won. Boston did it before they won. Now, granted, two of those teams have a chain link that connects them, and that's Theo Epstein, and that's exactly what he did with both teams. They tanked, got great draft picks, brought in some young guys, bought some pitching, won a World Series.
I'd say maybe a little bit different in Boston, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the bigger link is between the approach the Astros and the Cubs took was almost a carbon copy of each other. I know there's little nuanced differences, but look, and I think I've been on record even on this show as saying I don't blame the Cubs for taking that approach. What they inherited at the beginning of the last decade was shit. It was a mess. And it was Andy McPhail's mess that he left behind, and were you really going to string it out for 8 to 10 years before you could get that thing sustainable again? Or were you going to go quick path? It was actually not illegal. It was perfectly okay to do that. There were no measures in place to prevent it from happening. So that's what you do. And it ended up working for a year. And you could say the same thing with the Astros. They almost pulled this last one off, right? But
yeah, they did.
Thankfully, Atlanta came out on top. We're all thankful. The nation is grateful.
Got hot at the right time.
The nation is grateful, not only to the veterans today, but to the Atlanta Braves for not letting the Astros win the World Series in 2021. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what the fix is. We were kind of texting about this. I don't know how you fix it, but maybe you don't guarantee worst record gets the top draft pick. Maybe it is a pool of, maybe it is a lottery. It's a pool of 5, or you can't pick in the top 5 consecutive years in a row. That's something that was thrown out. Baseball has proposed some of these things to try to help it along. They've got to do something. I mean, look, they can't. I think because you have a CBA coming up, you cannot try to get this thing perfectly right. You've got to make it better, and don't let better get in the way of being the best, because you might not get it this time around. Things change when the last agreement's put in place. The landscape's a little different, so they're going to evolve and change over time. They need to make a step to get this fixed, because this is not a sustainable thing for the sport. I almost wish they would do something like soccer does over in Europe and over in the UK, where if you play that shitty for that long a period of time, you go down a league. Yeah, you go down a league. You go down to a 4A league, and you don't get to play with the big boys anymore. So
right.
I know who would be in there right now would be Baltimore, followed by Pittsburgh. Just a couple piss poor outfits there. That look, those guys. I don't even know if Elliott. I don't know. Is Baltimore tanking, or are they just that shitty?
I feel like they've been tanking for the last decade.
And this is I've been wanting you to put this poll question out. You keep not doing it on it, but I feel like the Orioles are always down by 3. Doesn't matter what day of the year it is, what inning of the game. Doesn't even matter if they're playing or not. I feel like they're always down by 3. And all apologies to our friend L. We know you're a Orioles
fan. The game's just started, and they're up to bat, and they're already down by 3, and the other team hasn't even been up.
No, baseball season's over, and it's November, and they're already down by 3. And I don't know how, but they are. Just like the Bears are down by 2 scores. Boy, they made it interesting the other night, right? Let me get back to that in a second. I wish I would have kind of stuck around and watched, but I didn't. But not to get off the baseball topic yet. So the CBA is looming. There are changes that need to be made. I think the theme of this is, for the players' union, they want to, they want to get guys paid earlier in their career. To where they're not, they're not screwed.
They should.
A guy like Patrick Wisdom's never going to see a big payday. He's never going to have a chance. He's already too old for that. Tommy Pham would sort of run into the same problem. I don't know how they're going to fix that one necessarily either, because I don't see the owners really giving in too much there. And I know some organizations may not be able to. Some are probably a little more willing because they've got deep pockets. But look, if they can, they'll put any measures necessary if they can keep their costs under control. And the system they have in place now is working well for the owners. And so they don't have much of an incentive. They would, in a heartbeat, agree to just keep the CBA as is and just keep it going.
Yeah. The players aren't going to, hopefully the players aren't going to allow that to happen. And, they should pay the players at a younger age, a little less control by the owners before these guys can get their dues, because then you're going to see the same things happening over and over again, where these guys are going to be looking for their payday, but they're going to try and get paid for what they did the years before instead of what they're going to be contributing in the years to come, which shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the approach that several organizations have taken, right? They're wanting to pay players for what they predict or project that they're going to do, not necessarily on past performance, which is why you see, veterans that are out of those ARB years and they're eligible for free agency for the first time, those jobs are dwindling. If you're not a perennial all-star, it's getting tougher and tougher to get, any length or annual value that we're used to seeing once you get near the age or past the age of 30. It's almost unheard of anymore. So it's changed the game quite a bit. Now, the owners would like to expand playoffs. They would like universal. I don't know if the owners necessarily want universal DH, but the players union probably does, right? That's 15 more jobs that is out there. So I think that's probably the quickest thing I can see the two sides agreeing on. It just depends on how much the ownership / MLB wants to hold on to that bargaining chip to try to get something else. So we'll see how that plays out. So the clock is ticking though, man. It's midnight on December 1st is the expiration. And okay, so if they don't reach an agreement, pretty much everything is going to be frozen. There's going to be no winter meetings. There's probably going to be no, I'd be surprised if any free agents are signed until they can get back to the table and agree on something. And then you've got, the holidays following less than 3 weeks after that. So it's going to be a tight timeline. I don't see them getting it done by December 1st, but I think they'd be absolute idiots to jeopardize 2022.
Yeah. I mean, if they don't get it done by December 1st, they're not going to do anything until January.
Probably not. And then you start worrying about our pitchers and catchers going to be reporting on time. We know how critical that is. As much as I don't.
You've pretty much got 6 weeks post. Yeah.
Yeah. And Pete was right. I think last show, proved it. When you don't start that stuff on time, or you don't take the time that's needed to stretch guys out, we see what happens with injuries. And gosh, a team like mine, pitching is going to be their priority. So I know they want to start on time. So I am pretty confident that something will get done. I'll make a bold prediction now that we're not going to be talking about a work stoppage or a delay. I think things are going to report on time in the spring. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a rocky road here at the end of the year between the two sides, just to agree. Because I think it would be devastating for them to have a work stoppage or a delay or any interruption to 2022, given the state that the sport is in right now. I think it'd just be
right.
The timing couldn't be worse. So, kind of doom and gloom on the baseball front. Not a lot of great things to really talk about, except, I know we were talking about reading some Scott Boras quotes. I'm not really sure.
I've got some.
You got them pulled up, so I'll let you go ahead and rattle off some of your favorites. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about just protection. And I don't mean the kind of protection you're supposed to carry around in your wallet when you're a high school kid. I'm talking about the other type of protection. It's important to stay protected. Sometimes life throws you a curve, and that's why you need Allstate. The Weiler Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They can offer a customized approach unique to your situation to make sure you, your family, and assets are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings. Give Sean a call today at 636-764-6294. They'll help you with an insurance quote right over the phone. You can even give them a call if you want to talk about sports. They do that too. We all have busy lives. You can email Sean at SeanWiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. Favorite quotes, 2021 edition.
2021 Scott Boras edition on Chris Bryant. The Sean Connery of Major League Baseball, because his Bond-like abilities in that he's always red hot in the hunt for October.
He should have said the hunt for Red October, but he didn't.
He didn't.
And it would have been better if we planned that better and just you had to read that in the Sean Connery voice, which would have been more appropriate. But
that's true.
Yeah. So, I know there's probably a fair amount of Twitter millennials out there who probably don't get half the references on here. Like, who's Sean Connery? And everybody knows who James Bond is.
I mean, he tied it together nice because 1, children, Sean Connery is Bond, and 2, he also played what's the character's name in those books? Jack.
Well, he wasn't Jack Ryan, but it was the hunt. It was the Tom Clancy. Yeah.
Wasn't he?
He wasn't Jack
Ryan.
Oh
no, but that was the Tom Clancy book with Jack Ryan.
Yes, It was one of the first ones that they had done. Well, I think one of the Alec Baldwin had.
Alec Baldwin.
That's not a name to bring up right now. But yeah, he was the first Jack Ryan, I think, on screen. Of course, Harrison Ford had taken that, and then some goofball does it now. I think for some Amazon series.
Well, there's been a few. So there was Alec Baldwin, and then there was Ben Affleck played him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Chris Pine played him.
Chris Pine played him
in a full feature movie. Yep. And then now it's John Krasinski in the Amazon Prime.
Well, you skipped over Harrison Ford, which is obviously the best
Who?
one.
We said Harrison Ford. Yeah. My wife corrected
She
me.
corrected you. That's good. Yeah.
I did miss that. Thank you, honey.
Way to protect. All right. So So Scott Boras dipping into the Tom Clancy James Bond novel to try to annotate a story for us here of what Chris Bryant brings to the table as far as what he can offer clubs. Right. I don't think clubs are stupid. I think they know what they get in Chris Bryant. The change of scenery.
I thought it was interesting because John Shea was the one who said this, and he believes that it puts him out of the Giants' price range to re-sign him for next season.
It very well may, and we don't know. Truthfully, we don't know Chris Bryant's interest in staying in San Francisco. Nobody does. Who knows if that was a possibility? Anyway, he seemed to me like it'd be a pretty good fit there, but he's.
I would absolutely hate if he went to the Dodgers because I know he wants to stay out west. I mean, at least it sounds like he does.
Well, you know where he can't go, right? Like he's not going to be able to go to San Diego. They're paying a lot of money for that left side of that infield. Yep. The Dodgers could certainly they would potentially, I guess, in theory, have a vacancy at third base with Justin Turner not sticking around. I don't see them bringing him back, or left field.
Yeah, Arizona. He could play in Arizona, but who wants to play in Arizona right now?
Well, I think he wants to. I mean, this is his one opportunity for a big payday and to pick where he wants to play. I think he'll have plenty of options in front of him, plenty of money to get the deal done. Question is San Francisco got the pockets or the desire to do that? I don't know how much he's going to demand or command in the open market, and you got to think that. I know GMs are stating that they're operating right now business as usual, which I don't buy that shit at all, because this deal is right there on the horizon, and it's affecting the way they're going to approach things right now. So I don't. With Boras or Bryant being a Boras agent, this kid isn't signing until January anyway. So don't anybody get over anxious to see what what Chris Bryant jersey you're going to have to buy, because you're not going to know that until probably until we get into February.
I was going to say it's probably going to be February before he actually signs anywhere.
Yeah. I could see, with some of his clients, like a Max Scherzer, who's older, who's only going to sign a 1, maybe 2-year deal tops. I could see somebody like him going in December if all is well on the CBA front, the new CBA. I could probably see a shorter deal like that getting done with Boris earlier. Plus, I don't see Max stretching things out like this. Max already had his big payday, right? He wants to go somewhere where he thinks they're going to contend, and it's an organization that hasn't pissed him off at some point in the past. Which I don't know how many of those. I don't know how many of those are left. He's probably mad at St. Louis, although I'd love to see him there. St. Louis probably had an opportunity to snag him before he ended up going to DC, and I don't know how much interest they actually showed in that. So. He probably has a beef with St. Louis. I don't expect to see him in a uniform, although they really, really, really could use him.
Absolutely.
But anyway, and so, I don't really what else to get it. What other, do you have another one?
Well, I got another one. So this one's on Nick Castellanos. He says, I advised all of you 2 years ago that old Saint Nick was going to bring a lot of presents to Cincinnati. Frankly, we're just going to sit back and see what teams have been naughty and nice. He is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for it's a seasonal thing. We got to have it. Like, we got to have some, I don't know that he's top prestige value yet when he was pitching Bryce Harper, but cause that was a stretch.
Right.
But like, there's going to be plenty of interest in Castellanos.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm surprised he opted out. I mean,
there's a risk.
I know Cincinnati struggled at the end of the season, but they were in contention for most of it. Shit, they were in first place at one point.
I don't remember them being in first place. You're probably right, but look, I don't know. I mean, maybe Cincinnati isn't he signed there as a free agent, so he went there willingly. It's not like he was dealt.
Yeah.
But I can see him getting close to the same amount somewhere else, and maybe that's ultimately what he wants. I mean, he played there for a couple of years, and he could end up back
maybe
there.
He comes back to the Cubs. I don't know. I mean, he said he really liked it there, and that going there reignited his career from being.
I imagine though, Elliott,
Detroit,
when he went there in 2019, right when he was traded. Going there on the heels of a team that had been to the playoffs like 4 or 5 years in a row, World Series title, much different clubhouse, a manager. I guess he didn't have much control of the clubhouse by the end of his tenure there, but it's probably a little bit different atmosphere. And the thing is with the Cubs is that it makes no difference to me whether Nick Castellanos goes to Chicago or not. It really doesn't. It's not that I'm not fearing the Cubs yet. With or without him,
no reason to.
Are the Cubs? Is that what they want to do? Like, is that fit the strategy to Like, I'm not saying Castellanos is an old guy at all. He's still pretty young, but
yeah,
like that window you're predicting out there 3-4 years, maybe it's even more than that. Like, does that fit what you want to do right now, or are they better off? Seeing more of what they have in minor leagues. I don't know what their outfield situation looks like, but
well, I mean, honestly, they're kind of stuck at right field because with Hayward.
At least this is last year though, isn't it? It is 22. I think 2022 is his last year.
You might be right.
And they might cut him loose. I mean, last year of a contract, you at times you see that. But
no, does
he have 2?
He's got 3 more years.
No, not that many. He thought he signed a 7-year deal.
8.
8-year deal? Count on your fingers. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, 2 more years.
Yeah.
23 then. Shit. That's even worse than I thought.
Yep.
I swear, I think you're wrong. I think it was 7 years. But if you're right, yeah, they've got to hold on to him to 2023. Yeah, so you've got a really expensive bench bat. That's what he's going to end up being. We had a pretty expensive bench bat this last year too.
We all know that.
Okay.
I mean, I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure.
Fine, check it on the fly. Is there any more? Those are probably his 2 best.
those were his two best right there. So
that's super agent Scott Boras. He's just the entertainment value at this point in his career is fantastic. So again, I'll go back to saying there's not much that he said today that I could say he's wrong on, and he usually is right. So he's right, except the exception of a couple contracts that guys that he didn't have sign in time. I can't remember their names, but they kind of got bit by him a little bit. He was slow to adapt to the way free agency was changing, and had a few guys hold out a little bit too long. I think that set him back.
Yeah, Jason Hayward through 2023, 2024, he becomes an unrestricted free agent.
Oh, that sucks. It's funny to me.
He is owed next season $22 million with a $2.5 million signing bonus, and he is owed the same in 2023.
Oh, that's got to sting.
It hurts.
That's got to hurt. Yep.
It hurts real bad, Ron.
It has to. The Cardinals just closed the book on several, right? Carlos Martinez he's gone. It's official. Matt Carpenter said his goodbye. Andrew Miller is off the books. Probably another one there I'm missing, but I nothing will ever be publicly said about it. At the time, they probably had some rationale or reasons why they either extended guys or why they brought guys in. Nobody was going to say that Andrew Miller was a bad addition when the addition happened. It just didn't work out.
In all of this past season, I was always, every time he came in to pitch, I was like, oh my God, the Cardinals still have Andrew Miller.
It was 3 years, but I know it seemed like he was here for a decade. He wasn't.
Because when he used to come in, it's like, oh great, here's the shutdown inning. Nobody's gonna get it, and it wasn't like that.
Yeah, he does not have that skill set anymore. They really could only bring him in against left-handers, which he was less effective. He's less effective than he was the Andrew Miller that we knew in Cleveland and when we knew with New York. It was just a different guy. So it didn't work out, but all that money's gone. I really hope that, and I know that the Cardinals are looking at some of these. Oh, Dexter Fowler's the one I was missing too. His money's now officially over. So, all of these signings or extensions, I know that front office is looking at all that stuff. I don't expect them to make those types of mistakes again. Not that they're not going to make new mistakes of a new type, but I do think that it's probably, at least with the front office as it sits today, with the personnel that are in there right now, I don't think we're going to see deals like that anymore.
No.
So that's the good news.
They're unhealthy for the sport. They're unhealthy for the team. So
yeah, it absolutely blocked things that they could have done that they didn't. Some of the trades that they made for young outfielders to kind of clear the room out for their picks to play, potentially still be with the organization where they would have pivoted and done something else. So it's just something I think, look, I'm willing to turn the page on it. Matt Carpenter was, the body of his work was actually pretty good. It was heavily skewed to the beginning of his career rather than the end of his time with the Cardinals. So it is what it is, but I'm moving on from that, and we'll see how they deploy those dollars going forward, because they are going to have to pay their third baseman now. Colorado is officially done paying for the Gold Glove All-Star third baseman. Still unbelievable when I think about that deal, but I don't know where that guy's at now.
He's not working for the Colorado Rockies.
Not working for the Rockies, and he probably shouldn't be. I don't know who's going to pick him up. Maybe Baltimore. I would have to think they're willing to try anything at this point to do anything. Let's switch topics here, because I'm kind of bored with baseball, as you couldn't tell. Even my energy going into tonight, this is November. It's going to be pretty quiet for a while. The Bears. The Bears make me want to get a high-powered military-grade flashlight and just shine it into both eyeballs. I cannot watch them. I don't even want to read news about them. I'm just so, man.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So Monday night's game, when did you stop watching?
14-0.
Okay.
14-0.
So,
I watched one more series where they had to punt, and I was done.
Okay. So you actually missed the best part of the game, and you also missed the most infuriating parts of the game.
No, I saw the highlights of the flag. And so I do regret turning it off, but I'm like, I'm going to spend the next hour and a half, 2 hours doing something much different than sitting here and watching this awful shit. I mean, I should have known. Maybe that's why I should just stop turning it on ever when it's available to me.
So I stopped really paying attention during probably the second quarter into halftime, and then as I started hearing more and more things happening with the Bears, and stringing together some first downs and going on the field, I was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And Fields looked like the Fields that we were told that
expected.
Was drafted.
Yeah.
Yes. And the kid looked good. So that gives me hope.
Well, it gives you hope that, that offense
it gives me hope for next year.
I was going to say this year, I don't have any high hopes, but if there's any glimmer of hope going into the next campaign, I'd like to see that offensive coordinator kind of open it up to him. Now that they know the areas he's excelling in or he's picking up a lot faster, that they start opening the game up for him a little bit. God, but
I'm pretty sure Matt Nagy was calling plays in the first half, and then they gave it back to Desai in the second half, because then they started running some bootleg outs, and they started running some play action pass and some ROBs or whatever. And man, he actually looked good, though. They were able to string that stuff together. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot with the offsides crap, and
a lot of penalties. A lot of penalties early on. Yeah,
some phantom penalties, and penalties killed them.
Yes, and
the taunting play was the big one.
I'm glad I wasn't watching it. At least I can say this: I'm glad I wasn't watching during that shit, because that's where I, among other, I guess, more diehard Bear fans, that's when the blood pressure goes up. And I don't need any more of that in my life. I've had enough of it with other things that happen around me. I don't need the Bears to piss me off anymore. So there's an easy one to cut loose. But anyway, there's nothing more frustrating in football, though, when you're sitting there watching it, and we're watching it from our armchair, from our couch, right?
Right.
But you're like, I wouldn't run here. The defense is all up on the line. Oh, fuck, you're going to run. Here you go. Yep, got you at the line. And it's just so sad. Like, sometimes the running game is just so sad. I'm not saying for the Bears, I'm saying for football in general. Like, you see it happen all the time. Like, oh, it's okay, so it's a first down. You're going to run it. There you go. Yeah, he stopped at the line. Or ooh, he got 3 yards. He had a little extra push. It's just like, it's so predictable, some of the shit is. And I know there's only so many things you can do.
Hit, bounced off and fell forward 3 feet.
Right. And I just got tired of seeing that too. I'm like, oh, this is what's going to happen. They're going to be third, and it's going to be 3rd and 4. They're going to get stopped. They're going to have to punt again. I just didn't have it. I didn't have the will to live to watch them the way they were looking in the first quarter. I was done. So anyway, that's kind of the only other interesting news on the football front for me at all is Cam Newton's returning to Carolina, which I'm tempted.
I saw that.
I'm tempted to see if I can get into the game. The next game coming, I think they play on the 21st. I think they play against the Washington football team. So,
hey, possibility for a win there.
It is a possibility. But that's kind of cool. The city's pretty fired up. We know Cam is not the same Cam that he was, 4 years ago.
He still dresses great, though.
He's still going to dress great. They probably, they could use some of that veteran presence, that leadership in the clubhouse. He was kind of the heart soul of that team when he was there. Had an unceremonious departure when he did leave. They didn't want to bring him back. They just weren't sure about his health. But he'll energize. I don't know what you can do with the remainder of the year with the Panthers. They're about in as good shape as the Bears are, but at least it's something. It's something there. It's a little bit of star power.
Yeah, put a little more entertainment on the field than you have been the past few games.
Well, StubHub average ticket prices went up 90% shortly after. So, if you do want to see him, you're going to be watching him from, the nosebleed section for about, the clip of about maybe $160, row 26, upper bowl. So you've been to that stadium before when you were out there.
I have been to that stadium. I have.
It's not spectacular. Like, as far as football stadiums all around, it's not like a spectacular stadium, but it's not bad.
It's better than Soldier Field.
Soldier Field.
Certainly hold more people.
I don't even know how to describe it. Like, how would you describe Soldier Field to somebody? That's I miss the charm of the old one, except that they landed a goddamn half blown up spaceship on top of the old stadium.
That's how I would describe it. It's a UFO.
It's ugly as hell.
It's awful.
So
I can't wait for them to move to Arlington.
Amen, man. I'll finally go back to a football game.
It's just I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but I hope they do. It'd be great.
Well,
it'll be 6-7 years before they actually get out there.
Let's just hope that the Bears can give us something to hope for next year, and we can, they can finally turn that corner and like just be relevant in football. No more accidentally ended up on the Monday night schedule. The league doesn't want them on there at this point. They're not, let's let this kid be entertaining and don't box him in, with a restrictive playbook, and let's open it up.
Yeah, don't screw up him, learning. Don't screw up his development.
If you ask a receiver,
don't give him 5 different offensive coordinators in the next 6 years. And if you're gonna fire Nagy, do it now.
Yeah.
Don't slow foot this crap.
I think that's going to happen. I think he's probably done for this year, regardless of how they end up. And it's not even me hoping; it's just me seeing that like this isn't working. Whatever's going on here, just
there's a lot not working, and your beginning part is your head coach, and then it's your GM. I honestly, it goes all the way up.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that for years. There's a common denominator. Yes. If you suck for that long, that period of time, you've wasted, league best defenses over the decades we've been watching them. You can't get both sides of the ball right on any given year. Like the closest you got was good Rex, bad Rex, and that defense led by Brian Urlacher, the last Super Bowl appearance that they had, and that was the closest they were going to get. But you knew even going in that year, they're missing a quarterback in order to win this.
You didn't even need a good quarterback. You just needed somebody to manage the game.
Yeah.
And you had him, but you put him on the bench.
Neckbeard the Pirate. It was Kyle Orton. They wouldn't start him. Well, you got that high pick there. The pressure is to put him in, I guess. But anyway, the Bears stressed me out. I don't need any more stress. You know what else is stressful? Buying that car. We all hate it. We know buying a vehicle can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Don a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Gateway City Sports sent you. All right, folks, this is going to wrap up kind of any talk of sports here. We're going to get into something else real quick. So for those of you that don't like anything outside of your hardcore sports analysis, which I know we provide so well every week, you might want to drop off now. But we will let you know that if you've enjoyed watching this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to subscribe. We're available on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show, 2 for 3 with Moose Michaels, Yacker Jacks with Brian Swope, XFL STL, and In the Cards with A-Train Arlington Lane. You can send us an email at the show at teamarrivalspodcast.com. You can find Elliott at TOR_Elliott, and you can find me at TOR_Ron75. Pete does not exist on Twitter, and he shouldn't. We're all thankful for that, but he does use the main account. Thank God. All right, so the most interesting thing we might encounter this week is the Disney Plus Day, which happens tomorrow. It's on
tomorrow,
November 12th, and something that we think maybe have already leaked out today because now we're not able to find it, and that is a sizzle reel to the Obi-Wan streaming show. That was not the right graphic I want to put up there. It was that one. This is probably, I'd say this is, I can go back and forth on the Ahsoka show or this one, but seeing Ewan McGregor back in the role is something I'm dying to see. I think this is great.
Yeah,
he was one of these.
Absolutely.
He was one of the highlights of the prequel trilogy for me. I think he was a great casting. If they got anything right, it was definitely him. And I'm excited to see what he does as a more aged and grizzled and isolated Obi-Wan. So there were a couple. There was concept art that leaked out, and then there was a sizzle reel. Unfortunately, you can't even show it up here. I know all kinds of other YouTubers do.
Yeah,
but
they must have got copyright striked.
yeah, they had to take it down. But I did catch it earlier. We were talking about it didn't reveal a whole lot.
No.
I think the concept art probably reveals a little bit more, or just as much. Worst case scenario. So if I can throw some of that up here right now, just starting with, I guess, the first image. This is just showing, it's concept art, so it's not a real photograph or anything, but it's showing an aged Obi-Wan. I don't remember what that animal is he's riding, but you can see he's kind of clothes are a little bit tattered. I kind of dig the outfit. He's got a gaffy stick on the back of that thing.
I was gonna say, notice the gaffy stick on the back from the Sandman?
Yeah.
So
yep. Well, he's living amongst those people now, kind of like
right.
Fett did, right, on Tatooine. Yep. So he's probably communicating like Mando did, learning their culture. Hey, this is how you conduct yourself in the desert.
Right.
So there he is. He's clearly on Tatooine. I say that, and I could be thrown off. It's certainly not Jakku. Jesus, I don't think we ever want to go back there. But this is obviously
Absolutely
Tatooine.
Not.
It's obviously a Tatooine setting. But a pretty cool picture. This is kind of in my mind without even seeing anything. This is what I would imagine what he's looking like here. Not full-blown Alec Guinness with he's not sporting white on the hair or fully on the beard yet, but he's getting there. And what do we have next? So we've got, this one. This is the one that threw me off a little bit. I'm like, did they put this up on the website? Was this right? Because this appears to be, well, it is. These are snow speeders that we first saw in Empire Strikes Back.
So this looks like Hoth.
It looks exactly like Hoth, but we know that Hoth doesn't take place till later. So I'm not sure. Like, I'm really lost on where this might be. I'm wondering if the wrong image was thrown into the website. I don't recall seeing this in the sizzle reel, but they were kind of flying through. They didn't show this on the sizzle reel. I did not see this.
No, I didn't see this either.
But it's definitely interesting. And it does. I would say if I didn't know any better and I saw this, must be Macquarie concept art from Empire Strikes Back. But it shows up in this leaked concept art for the Obi-Wan series. So this is a real interesting one. I don't know what this could be.
Yeah.
The only other possibility I was thinking, Elliott, was Crate, because that was an old Rebel fortress. Obviously, we saw it in The Last Jedi, but it was the planet with the salt all over the surface, and it had some cave structures and everything. That's the only other thing I can possibly think of, but it's probably somewhere we've never heard before.
Yeah. No, because you would think that he would be like, this whole thing would take place on Tatooine because his whole job is to look after Luke. So, yeah, who knows?
So next one here, I love this, and I hope we do go back there. This appears to me, I think this is Coruscant.
Yeah.
I can't quite make out what the species are of some of these, but some of them have hoods over their head. It appears to me to be Coruscant. The other possibility I was thinking of, and this is kind of like in the expanded universe, and if you've read books or you're into that kind of thing, you get it. Like, there's other planets called Nar Shaddaa, which was full of bounty hunters and kind of an underworld there. Like, it could be something like that. But this, to me, at glance,
this looks too nice.
Yeah, and if you've seen episodes of the Clone Wars, this is when they're out and about in Coruscant, this is really what it reminded me of.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the beginning scene of Rogue One. Like that city area, that market area.
Yeah, and I don't recall what that was on Rogue One, but But anyway, so that's another cool image. I do hope we make I do hope that Coruscant makes a cameo.
Yeah.
This is a brand new one to me. This doesn't look like any other planet that I'm familiar with.
I am not familiar with this at all.
My vote, if you forced me to guess, hey, what are we looking at here? What planet? I might be inclined to say maybe Corellia. Kind of has that the beginning of the Solo movie vibe.
Yeah, that's possible.
Of course, the ground and everything, and it does have that car kind of sitting back there, like, so that speeder.
Yeah, that's true.
Looks like a bar, maybe, that's open to the street.
Could be. Could be. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like, or maybe even like a Vegas style thing where they're gambling, and
maybe it's Canto Bight.
Maybe we're gonna go for some
the dumbest sequence in the Star Wars saga. I do not want to go back there. I don't think they would go back there. I don't think that went over.
So.
I don't think that one went over very well. All right, so real quick, coolest piece I think, and I expected to see this, was an Inquisitor. No doubt this overlaps the time where the Inquisitors were on the hunt. It's prior to
they are hunting down the Jedi.
Yeah, and I'm from everything I'm looking at here, this is prior to the Rebels series. I'm guessing when the Obi-Wan series takes place is definitely in front of the Rebels. So I would expect to have seen an Inquisitor, if not multiple, throughout this series. So this doesn't surprise me at all. The ship's pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of the Knights of Ren vehicle that they fly around a little bit. But
yeah, this reminds me of some of the ships in the Jedi video game.
Oh, the Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is heavily inspired with the Inquisitors.
Yeah. So this is a cool image, but I think this confirms we're going to see them. I don't know which one this is. I could zoom in far enough to kind of tell. Is this an Inquisitor we've seen before, or is it a different
kind of
one?
dress pretty similar?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think the big delta on them is the shape of the mask. It seems to be a little bit different between one Inquisitor to the next. So maybe a brand new one we're going to see here. I don't think it's the Grand Inquisitor. I'd be surprised.
No,
I don't think we're going to see him. But this is definitely a cool image. And I think it's all been confirmed. I would have bet a paycheck that we were going to see Inquisitors in this anyway. So it's not like groundbreaking. Okay, so I think I got one more. Not much here. I was more curious. It's showing just a rendering of stormtroopers. To me, I was more interested. Okay, where could this be? I'm gonna go out here and guess. Is that Coruscant again? It doesn't look like the Jedi Temple at first glance. I thought it might be.
No, it doesn't.
But it appears to me like they're probably on Coruscant. Some of the lighting that you see on those I guess the frames around the windows and by the doors, it's kind of like that Imperial type of lighting that we're used to seeing in the original trilogy. So there's in some Imperial facility, but I don't know if it's on Coruscant or somewhere else. But cool image. It does, by the design of the stormtroopers, it does suggest that this is well beyond the end of the Clone Wars and when the clones were phased out. So these are conscripted, stormtroopers.
Yeah, these are stormtroopers. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't have that kind of transitional helmet that they had between Clone Wars and then when they were full.
Yeah, that one weird one that they showed. It was on the Bad Batch. I think it kind of showed up there, right?
Yes.
So, stupid looking helmet. I'm glad that was short lived. I would think.
Yeah.
But it looks like the stormtrooper we're used to, not the goofy one that ended up on Star Wars Rebels. That accentuated mask with that little frown. It was more accentuated frown on the mask. I never liked that, but I guess I just it's an acquired taste. I just never fully acquired it. So, this is going to be a cool series. I'm glad we're getting closer and closer to this actually becoming a thing. So, the Kenobi series. I just wonder, is there any more that's going to come out tomorrow? Yeah, the sizzle reel leak. Do they have something else?
Yeah,
is it an actual trailer?
I have a feeling that we may see like a little snippet of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So. I think they got to show either just him or Vader. Him as Vader.
I think there was one thing that they put on the sizzle reel that I haven't seen in concept art, and that is him. He appears to be probably in his castle on Mustafar, looking at a hologram up on a table, or it was not a hologram, but maybe it's transmission. He was communicating with somebody, but he was sitting down. So I would think that that's probably not the Emperor. He kneels in front of the Emperor. So he was either talking to an Imperial officer, maybe an Inquisitor, or somebody else, but or maybe he's just watching old movies. But yeah, it begs the question: like, if they're going to bother to bring Hayden Christensen back into this, Elliott, you'd think that he's got to be unmasked at some point. Otherwise, why bother with that actor? You could have had any actor. The actor you used for Rogue One play Darth Vader. Like, why bring him back if he's going to be masked the whole time? I've got to think that he's got to be unmasked at some point.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is just kind of like an out there sort of theory. The EA Star Wars mobile game just announced that Starkiller is coming to the game. Do you think does this timeline match up when Vader was training Starkiller?
Well, the thing is, like anything that has to do with Starkiller, which is the what was the video game? Force Unleashed, right?
Force Unleashed. Yep.
None of that's canon. So if they want to reintroduce that character,
until it is,
well, that's my point though. Like they don't have to abide by anything that happened on that timeline when that occurred, the Force Unleashed, in the old Legends universe. So if they want to bring that character back into the fold, just like they have Thrawn, it could fit within this, and it's probably pretty close to when it should have taken place, I guess, in the Force Unleashed. We know it was before the Rebellion. It was before the Battle of Yavin. It was after Revenge of the Sith. So any time in there is fair game. So if they want to introduce that character, I think it'd be kind of cool. At least, the diehard fans would probably get a kick out of seeing that. I know that was a pretty popular game.
Maybe they do it as an introduction, and then you can do something spin off on that.
I mean, for all you know, that character is an Inquisitor. We just don't know that yet. So
and that's true too.
Yeah. So. That'll be interesting. I don't know if this is the place we're going to end up seeing him if he is introduced. I think it's likely to show up in another form. But I guess I'm wondering why bring that actor back. Not that I have anything against Hayden Christensen. He was working with cardboard dialogue when he was very young, so I don't blame him for the acting performance in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. I don't think a lot of people could have pulled that off.
I expect a lot more out of this series in the writing. And which we should, because we have already seen it with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So
we've got to see him unmasked at some point. If not, then it's by what Ewan McGregor said in the short clip we did see that you can't see anymore, is that he and Hayden get to take one more whack at each other. So that would suggest that there is going to be another showdown between the two. And I originally thought, well, if Christensen's back into the fold here, that must be a flashback sequence, something where you needed his voice or you needed his face. So I do think we're going to see Vader unmasked at some point, whether it's coming out of his spa, like we saw him in Rogue One, a brief glimpse, or if it's he's in his meditation chamber with his helmet being removed by that big machine, like we saw in Empire Strikes Back. I think if you're going to bring that actor back, you're going to have to show his face.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so for those of you that hate talking about this kind of shit, the good news is we're done, and we're going to wrap it up for the night. So we got a little bit more baseball in the beginning than what I thought, but I think that's it. I think if we'd had the Disney Plus day today, that probably had a whole episode dedicated to that. Because we'll probably find out a lot more, because a lot was revealed last year when they had this event. All those new shows that they're going to be coming out with was the big news. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to top that one, but
I mean, I hope to see a little bit more of Obi-Wan. I hope to maybe get a glimpse of the Ahsoka show, maybe a teaser of Thrawn, maybe just like his voice or whoever they're
possibly a second Book of Boba Fett trailer. I mean, there'll be plenty. There'll be pleny of eye candy to come out of tomorrow, and
some Bad Batch season 2. Yeah, I mean, I've even read some kind of crazy theories that maybe we see Omega live action at some point in one of these shows.
About as excited to see that as I would be the Andor thing. Like I'm not. So
yeah.
Whatever, man.
They have that show coming out.
They're churning out a lot of product. And not everybody's gonna like everything. And I kind of know the hills I'm willing to die on, and Andor is not one of them.
Right.
So the other last little thing I guess worth mentioning before we leave, this rumor of this Rogue Squadron movie getting delayed. Maybe I missed it. I didn't know this was an actual thing, and I got to tell you, man, I'm just not that interested in a Rogue Squadron. Assuming it's the same Rogue Squadron that we saw Luke fly with and Hoth, and that was in Return of the Jedi, kind of the Wedge Antilles group. I'm just not that interested in seeing a Rogue Squadron anything. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a dick for this, but like I hear it's delayed, and I'm like, okay, no news to me. I didn't really know it was going to be a real thing anyway, and it's like one of those things, man. I'm just not like I don't think I need it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, is it going to be Rogue Squadron post Return of the Jedi? Because you guys suck. You let a whole new empire form on the outer rim in the unknown space. Nobody knew about it, even though they stole 1 billion children to make them stormtroopers. Nobody noticed. So you guys suck.
Yeah.
I'm not interested to watch any of that.
And they don't have Luke, so they can't blow up anything.
Right. You don't have Luke or Han, you ain't blowing up shit.
That's right.
All right, my man.
So
we're going to call it a night. For those of you that were watching us live, thank you so much. And hopefully we get the big guy back here. Our own Wookiee, our own 6'7" or 6'6" Wookiee, and Pete will return to us next week.
Right.
We'll be back same time, same place. We love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.